Hey guys, it's Alora, and today I'm going to be doing an unhaul video. Now, I never thought that I would do an unhaul video because I love my books so much and I didn't think that I would ever want to get rid of any. However, I've been reading this book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, and it's essentially a organizational, clearing the clutter type book, and I really do love it. And so the second step in her process is to go through your books and get rid of, she recommends getting rid of a lot of them, but I couldn't quite do that. I did manage to go through my books and pick out quite a few that I realized I really didn't like to begin with, or I haven't read yet and I'm not planning on reading it because it's just not my style anymore, or I'm no longer interested in the book, or somebody gifted the book to me and I was never really interested to begin with. So that's what we're doing here today. So let's hop right on in. Book number 1 is Dark Reflections by Kai Meyer. I did begin this book but was never really interested in it, sat on my shelf for a very long time, so saying goodbye. Book number 2 is The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. This is one of my mom's favorite books, but I was never really that into it, so I'm going to get rid of my copy. Next we have The Princess Tales Volume 1 by Gail Carson Levine. I really love Gail Carson Levine, and I did read these quite a while ago, but I wasn't really that interested in keeping them, so. Keeping with the theme, we've got Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. Like I said, I do really like Gail Carson Levine, and I do like this book, but I like it on audiobook so much better. Probably around the time I was about 10, I started listening to this book on audiobook, and I've listened to it I don't know how many times, but I really prefer the audiobook, so there's no real reason for me to keep the book version. Sleeping Freshmen Never Lie by David Lubar. This was actually a very funny book, but I just don't feel the need to keep it anymore. Okay, so next we have Orange is the New Black by Piper Kerman. I did actually start reading this. I got a quarter of the way into it, wasn't really that interested. I didn't really love her writing. I've watched the TV show, so I kind of know what happens anyway, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Digital Video for Dummies from about 12 years ago, so that is self-explanatory. What Do You Want to Do Before You Die by The Buried Life. I just read this one a month or two ago, just hauled it in my spring haul, but didn't really care for it that much, so it's going in the donate pile. A Decade of Cooking the Costco Way. I don't really want this anymore because I have very special dietary needs nowadays. Same thing with this 3-4-5 ingredient cookbook. The Project of Reflections by K.E. Sean O'Connor. This is actually one of my advisors from a few years back at the college. He wrote this book and I bought it and don't really want to keep it. Vampire Kisses, The Beginning by Ellen Schreiber. I believe this is the first 3 books, so it's a little volume bind-up. I really liked these when I read them 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that. They were good. They're fun if you like vampire books and you like angsty romance between goth girls who want to be vampires and hot vampires who move in down the road, then this is the series for you. Sort of Forever by Sally Warner. I really liked this book. I read it when I was 10-ish or so, and I got what I needed to get out of this one though. Pink by Marilyn Griffith. I realized I'm not really interested in it at all. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Don't gasp too loudly, I do have another copy of this. Fake Out Food, Wacky Treats to Fool Your Friends. This one just has lots of little icky, it's so gross. Ranger's Apprentice Book 1, The Ruins of Gorlin. Ranger's Apprentice Book 3, The Icebound Land. Both of these are by John Flanagan. Crank by Ellen Hopkins. I have read this one. Delirium by Lauren Oliver. I got about 3/4 of the way through this book and I just could not make myself finish it. I was so bored. 2 more quick cookbooks, Eat Your Way Around the World and Cooking Rocks, Rachel Ray 30-Minute for Kids. I really liked this one, but now I can't eat most of the things in it. Moby Dick by Herman Melville, because if we're being real, I'm never gonna read this one of my own volition. The 13th Child by Patricia Reed. I tried reading this a couple times, never really got into it. The Amulet of Samarkand, which is the Bartimaeus Trilogy, Book 1. I'm just no longer interested in this book. Boethius, The Consolation of Philosophy. I read this for school. He wasn't my favorite philosopher, so I'm going to let him go. Beastly by Alex Flynn. This was not my favorite Alex Flynn novel. I love Breathing Underwater. If you haven't read that, you should definitely check it out, but Beastly wasn't that spectacular. False Prince by Jennifer Niven. My mom read it and she liked it, but it just doesn't seem that interesting to me, so I'm going to get rid of it. I keep saying, I'm going to get rid of it, I'm going to let it go, which is stupid because you know this is an unhaul. That's what I'm doing with these books. Duh. Artemis Fowl by Colfer, however you say the first name. I did try to read this, never really got into it. And along with that we have the Artemis Fowl Files. Next up is Powers by Ursula K. Le Guin, and this is the third book in a series that I never even started, so. Next up we have White, Jenna, and Sister Light, Sister Dark by Jane Yolen. I've tried reading these, but just, they're not my favorite Jane Yolen. I love some other Jane Yolen. My favorite Jane Yolen is Dragon's Blood, that series, but these ones weren't really my things. Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl. I read about half of this book, but it was really depressing. I can recognize the value in this book being what it was, however, I didn't really enjoy reading it, so I stopped. I'm getting rid of these 3 Kathy Reichs books, which are 206 Bones, Break No Bones, and Deja Dead. The television show Bones is based off of Kathy Reichs' work, and I really love the show, but I'm just not really a mystery reader. Ready or Not by Meg Cabot. I did read this one quite a while ago. Romeo and Julio by Sharon M. Draper. I've also read this one. The Butterfly Clues by Kate Ellison. I have read Kate Ellison's other book and I really did like it, but I tried to read this one and wasn't feeling it. It's a mystery. Like I said, I'm not really a mystery reader. There's no real reason for me to keep it. Looking for Normal is the next one I'm going to get rid of. This one's by Betty Monthe or something like this. I have read this book. It was really sad. Right off we learn that this book is about these 2 children whose father killed the mother and then killed himself, and I just, whew, it wasn't my favorite, so there's no reason for me to keep it. I don't want it anymore. Kind of gives me bad feelings, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Next, I'm getting rid of Positive by Paige Rowell, and I did read this recently, you know, in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, something like that. I didn't really care for it. I thought it was a pretty cover and I was really interested in the topic, but I don't know, don't want to keep it. Just Ella by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I like some of her work, like Double Identity. That was a really good one. I've read it multiple times, but this one I didn't really care for. I did read it. It's a Cinderella retelling and it just wasn't that special to me, so I'm going to get rid of it. Next is the Golden Compass series. I've had these for a lot of years and I figure if I haven't read them by now, I'm just really not interested. I did watch the movie of The Golden Compass and the plot didn't captivate me or anything, so. Naming by Alison Krogan is a book that I have tried to read, I swear, about 7 times, and I've always made it to about the same point, somewhere between 40 and 60 pages, and I always give up. And so, I'm sorry, it's just not the book for me. Then we have Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. This has an incredible story behind the publication of this book, so you should look that up if you're interested in Russian history. I have read this beast of a book and I never intend to read it again, unless I want to waste another 2 weeks of my life. Not that the book was a waste, but just rereading it would be a waste. This compilation called How I Learned to Cook. I'm no longer enrolled in culinary school, so there is no reason for me to keep this. The last full-on book is Rumble by Ellen Hopkins. I know I haven't had this for very long, but I did actually try to read it, and I didn't like it. Her books are so dark, and sometimes I think that there's a really good balance with dark, twisted stories where you can learn a moral lesson, but sometimes they're just depressing, and her books to me are just depressing. I got rid of Crank. I have read Crank all the way through, and it was really cool what she was able to do with her poetry, but I just, I don't know. I don't want to be brought down anymore, so I'm going to get rid of this one. The last 2 things that I'm going to be getting rid of in this unhaul video are graphic novels. So the first one is Saga Volume 1. I know that a lot of people really like the Saga series, but I didn't really like it that much, so I'm going to get rid of it. And the second graphic novel that I'm going to be unhauling today is Fables Volume 1, Legends in Exile. And I know also a lot of people like this one, but just not my thing. Maybe it's graphic novels. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just not a graphic novel person. Who really knows? Anyway, that is all I have to unhaul for you today. I feel now like I have quite a bit of breathing room on my shelves. They're all still full, but now they're not overflowing. So I guess that's a step in the right direction, right? Super quick update, when I was doing this spring cleaning, unhauling thing, I reorganized my bookshelf a little bit and I'm not super happy with it at the moment. If you watched my rainbow TBR shelf, you would know that this black shelf here in the background was organized by color, which looked really gorgeous in my room, but it was a little bit challenging to find things at times. So I figured, hey, I'll just organize them by genre, and now that I have, I'm not super happy with it. So I'll probably reorganize them back into a rainbow, but we'll see what happens with that. If you want to see how I recently counteracted this lovely unhaul, then be sure to check out my spring book haul video that I posted last week. If you want to know the abysmal number of books that I've managed to read in the last couple of months, check out my combined March-April wrap-up. Definitely subscribe if you're not already, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I probably won't be doing another unhaul for quite a while because I'm very attached to my books, and that was a lot of books to get rid of. Let me know down in the comments below what kind of videos you guys are interested in seeing, as well as what books you've been reading lately, or what books you would get rid of off of your shelves. Also, let me know, am I crazy for getting rid of these books? Should I just keep them? Because I am calling myself a book collector, so maybe I should just keep them. Nope, nope, all of these books are going away tomorrow. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope to see you soon in my next one, and until then, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye, guys.